The other ones, all the different press that here from all over the world. I thought that would be a nice shot.
It is. So we are here at Windsor. Okay, so we are at Windsor Castle, traveling.
Hi, we're here
Hi.
at Windsor Castle, experiencing a beautiful day together with Pastor and Janet.
Come, Jan, say hello to the people.
Hello people, I'm Janet. Enjoying a lovely day in the village of Windsor, Berkshire.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Press crew, all the equipment you got.
You know, I
We
certainly,
carry your equipment for you.
I certainly should.
Right outfit and everything.
I just suspect he's really busy, that's why.
Who, from the King? Huh?
Well, him too, but Patrick's brother is a press.
Okay.
So when Andy's Paris approved, you know, he's one of the press. So I suspect he's
Very busy now.
in Westminster or something like that. We're just not hearing from him.
Security there.
We got like a treatment center.
Yeah, we kind of knew she would die eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange how she's died. Yeah, we expected it. The feeling of shock was still there. But as soon as we kind of understood that she was gravely ill when they announced. Like, just think about the Parliament, you know? And
Oh, they did?
They broke the conversation, the debate in Parliament, so mentioned the Queen is ill. That she, you know, that she's being taken care of and found her. So we finally knew that the something bad news in the middle.
For a couple of hours and then never see them again. Until the next time.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, we thought we
They're
lost
not
you.
allowed to take wrapped flowers in.
Huh?
Archie, come here a minute. Archie, come here. So I'm at Windsor Castle with Archie putting flowers off for the Queen. Yeah, I just give up. That's what they're saying. Yeah, so you know what? Should do really. One of those things that when he gets older, he'll
Because Windsor is where Kate and William live, and also Harry and Meghan. This is
their.
yeah. They live on these grounds.
You know what?
You don't want to take a picture with him.
Man, that's a big royal poo there, isn't it?
As the long mile behind me, we're coming back from the long mile.
The upper Thames at a little under 5 miles an hour, added to which the Thames takes a very meandering course, so all in all it's not the place to be if you're in too much of a hurry. To our left is Jacob's Island, formerly called Corporation Island. It was renamed after a well-known local councillor and boat builder called Arthur Jacobs. It was here that some of the largest wooden boats, almost twice the length of this one, were built in the now dismantled and long forgotten boat houses and slipways of the Jacobs Yard. As we proceed past Brocker's Meadows to our right, some more of the Eton College buildings become visible, as do the spires of Eton College Chapel, which is built in an almost identical style to St George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. It's known as the perpendicular Gothic style of architecture. Eton College was founded in 1440 by King Henry VI, originally naming it the King's College of Our Lady of Eton beside Windsor. Incidentally, the college owns nearly all of the land on our right-hand side from here to well beyond our turning point. They in fact own portions of land in many parts of the country. This was largely due to an outdated practice whereby parents of Eton boys used to donate land to the college in order to offset fees. Through the trees to our left shortly we will see a full-size replica of a Hawker Hurricane fighter plane. This is a memorial to its designer, Sir Sidney Cam, whose former home stands a few hundred yards beyond. This plane bears the markings of one flown in the Battle of Britain by squadron leader John Grandy, who was Constable and Governor of Windsor Castle from 1978 to 1988. Sir Sidney Cam was a pupil of Royal Free School in Windsor. During this time he designed and built model aeroplanes which he then sold to the boys of Eton College. Whilst the Hurricane was his best known aircraft, Cam also designed the Hunter in 1951, which in 1953 went on to break the world speed record of 727 miles per hour. Cam's final design was the Harrier, which remained in RAF service for 50 years until 2010, and it is still flown by the US Marines as the AV-8B. Ahead of us is the Windsor Railway Bridge, being one of several across the Thames designed by Isambard King and Brunel, the famous Victorian engineer. The bridge was completed in 1849 for Queen Victoria, and it brought the Great Western Railway network right up to the front of Windsor Castle. The design of this bridge was unique in its day, as were many of Brunel's designs. This one because the 187-foot central span is not secured to the sides in any way. It simply rests there under its own weight on 6 bearings, allowing for expansion and contraction of the ironworks during temperature changes. This type of span is known as a bowstring arch, and the brick viaduct was constructed between 1861 and 1865, replacing an original wooden trestle structure. The arches were incorporated into the design, It's also believed to be Brunel's oldest surviving structure still in continuous use, and was granted Grade 2 listed status in 1975. In 1883, Windsor Central Station became part of the London Underground network, when the District Line was extended from Ealing Broadway to Windsor, using the tracks of the Great Western Railway. However, this was short-lived, as the service was withdrawn in 1885. The land to our left forms part of Bath's Island, so called because in the days before Windsor had a purpose-built swimming pool, the channel behind the island was closed to boats during the summer months, providing the people of Windsor with a safe swimming area. In 1870, Queen Victoria disapproved of the sight of bathers from the royal train and had them moved to the downstream end of the island. Then in 1904 the area by the railway was used again, but this time with men on the downstream side of the bridge in the eastern baths and ladies upstream in the western baths. To our left is the Windsor Leisure Centre, being the current incarnation of Windsor's swimming facility. It replaces an earlier outdoor pool. The centre stands on the site of the once famous Ricky Tick Club of the 1960s. The Ricky Tick was a well-known live music venue in its day. It started out at the Star and Garter in Windsor Town Centre in 1962, before moving to a semi-derelict mansion on this site called Clewar Meads in 1964. Many of today's major acts, such as The Who, The Rolling Stones, Stevie Wonder and Pink Floyd, made some of their early appearances here, and it was at the Ricky Tick that the previously unheard-of Jimi Hendrix made his UK debut. The mural coming up on our right, stretching across the base of the bridge, was commissioned in 2012 as part of the London Olympic Games, as it is on what was known as the Windsor Games Walk, leading to Dorley Lake about 2 miles upstream. The venue hosted the rowing and canoe sprint events. Painted by London artist Cosmo Sarton, the mural depicts 16 faces representative of the young people of today. Passing White Lily's Island to our left. The name is misleading, as it is in fact a plot of land forming the downstream end of a much larger island river. For this reason there is a heavy iron post set into the ground near the end of the point. It's called a strapping or turning post. It goes back to the days of horse-drawn barges. As the barges approach the point, the tow rope would be taken off the horse and a few turns made around the post. This would allow the barge to swing safely around the point under its own momentum in a pendulum-like motion. Had they not done this, the barge would have continued on in a straight line towards the opposite bank, probably pulling the unfortunate horse in behind it. Through the trees to our left is Windsor Racecourse. We will see more of this at various stages right up to our turnaround point. We're currently passing the area behind the grandstands. Racing began here at Windsor in 1866 and continues on to this day with regular Monday evening meetings and some weekends throughout the summer.
Little fruit shoots.
Yeah, can I have one of those, please?
Yeah.
How much are they?
I think
Yeah.
Windsor Racecourse. Got one of the venues.
We're now rounding a bend called Upper Hope, and just beyond these trees to our left is the parade ring of Windsor Racecourse. This course is unique in that it stands entirely on an island. It's called Ray's Island, and it's in fact the largest on the Upper Thames, being about a mile long. The only Thames island longer than this one is Canvey Island on the Thames estuary beyond London. It's also one of only 2 figure-of-8 courses in the country, the track having been laid out in this way in order to fit the required length of track into the limited space offered by the island.
interesting ride, man. Quickly fall asleep. Oh yeah. It is.
Ahead of us now is Bobley Lock, our turnaround point. The lock and weir are built around the island ahead of us, and the set of grey gates to the right is the entrance to the lock chamber, which allows boats to bypass the weir, making the change in level from one side to the other. Boats continuing upstream from here will enter the lock chamber, the gates will close behind them, and water from the upstream side will flow into the chamber through sluice gates below water level. This flooding of the lock will raise the boats until the water level in the chamber is equal to the level on the upstream side, at which point the upstream gates can open, allowing boats to continue their journey. The reverse process then allows passage for boats travelling downstream, and the flooding and draining of the lock chamber is simply achieved using the force of gravity. There are no pumps involved. Between the lock and the island, a set of rollers can be seen. These allow users of small boats and skiffs to manually negotiate their passage. The source of the Thames is called Thames Head and is close to Cirencester and the Cotswold Hills in Gloucestershire. It flows downhill following the gradient of the land, and for the first 140 miles it passes through 45 of these lock and weir systems, spaced along this section which is known as the Upper Thames. The Upper Thames drops in elevation by about 300 feet, and these lock and weir systems allow the drop to occur as a series of controlled steps of a few feet each time, and there is no tidal effect on the Upper Thames. Boveney is the 36th lock from the source, and there are another 9 downstream of here, the last of these being at Teddington, west of London. Beyond Teddington, the remaining 75 miles of the Thames becomes tidal as it flows through London and on into the North Sea. This gives a total length of 215 miles. The weir ahead of us is a bit like a dam spanning the main channel, and it is this which does the main job of controlling the flow and subsequently the level. The lockkeeper does this by raising or lowering the individual gates, usually in response to recent rainfall. Allowing a faster flow during wet weather prevents a build-up in level which could lead to flooding, while in dry weather the weir gates are closed in, holding the water back but maintaining a safe depth for boats to navigate. Indeed, the lockkeepers maintain a chain of communication along the river, keeping the Upper Thames at a more or less constant level throughout the year. Towards the right-hand end of the weir is the salmon ladder, this being a narrow channel divided lengthways by a series of baffles which slow the water down and cause slight backflow, assisting the migrating salmon in their arduous journey to the source of the river. Salmon were successfully reintroduced to the Thames in 1982 after a long absence, and they have become firmly re-established since then. This is mainly due to the cleanliness of the water these days, the Thames in fact being now officially recognised as one of the world's cleanest metropolitan rivers, that is to say one which flows through major towns and cities. This was not always the case though, and in the 1800s the river was so badly polluted that it was declared dead in the London area, and that no fish or bird life could survive in or around the water. The smell of the river was unbearable to those who lived or worked near it. Diseases such as typhoid and cholera were rife, and this period was known as the Great Stink. For Londoners, things improved greatly in the 1850s with the building of Joseph Bazalgette's enclosed sewage system, and elsewhere along the river many improvements have been made, and the process continues to this day. The colour of the water is deceptive. Despite looking dirty, the brownish-green tint is caused by naturally occurring sediment and microorganisms. Having turned around, we now embark on the downstream leg of our journey, which would take us to London and then on to the North Sea, and for the same reasons as mentioned before, the journey from here to central London would take in the region of 12 hours. However, we are not limited to the River Thames. In fact, much of England is linked by canals and rivers. The first canals were built by the Romans for the purposes of irrigation, as well as linking navigable rivers. But it was the Industrial Revolution of the 18th and 19th centuries which saw the most significant development due to the need to transport goods around the country, as at this time roads were fairly undeveloped.